Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into a power system that's pure cosmicore. It's called Primal Ascension. And listen, forget everything you think you know about magic or super advanced tech. This is something else entirely. Something way older and just infinitely more dangerous.
And that quote right there, it nails it. It's the perfect place for us to start. See, this whole power system doesn't kick off with some dusty rulebook or fancy spells. No. It begins with this raw, totally untamed energy that was around before our universe even existed. It's the bedrock, the foundation for absolutely everything we're about to get into.
Okay, so how do we wrap our heads around this? Here's the plan. We're going to look at where this power comes from, what it actually means to ascend, the insane abilities you get, the big philosophical question of whether you become a god or a monster, and finally, how this all blows up into a war for the entire cosmos.
All right, first things first, we have to go back to the very beginning. Let's dig into the source code of this whole thing, something called the Omega Imprint.
So what is the Omega Imprint, really? Well, you're not going to find it in some spell book, that's for sure. The best way to think about it is imagine that raw, chaotic energy that was just churning around before the Big Bang. A force that can create just as easily as it can destroy. And it basically just rewrites the laws of physics on a whim. Yeah, this really paints a picture, doesn't it? It's not some elegant, refined power source. It's primal, it's violent, it's totally alien to our nice, ordered universe. Trying to tap into this stuff, it's basically like trying to take a sip of water directly from a cosmic hurricane. You don't control it, you just hope you survive it.
Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? What happens if something, doesn't just touch this force, but actually manages to survive the experience? Well, that's when we start talking about ascension.
The handful of beings who can actually withstand the Omega Imprint, they are completely transformed. They hit what's called God tier status. They become the first gods. And we're not just talking about wielding power here. Oh no, they become power. They literally turn into the living, breathing embodiment of huge, monstrous concepts. Think death, or desire, or even fate itself. And this journey, this path of ascension, it's absolutely harrowing. This isn't about studying or training, it's about pure, brutal survival. You make contact with this chaos. You somehow endure a transformation that rips you apart and puts you back together wrong. And if you're lucky, you emerge as something more, for sure. But also something so much less human. So let's talk about what this power actually looks like. Because it is not pretty. There are no clean, divine beams of light here. This stuff is visceral. It's horrifying. It looks ancient. The energy itself looks like this writhing, dark, oily ichor. It's intentionally grotesque, really leaning into that classic universal monsters vibe to show you just how monstrous this transformation really is. So, you've ascended. You're a God-tier entity. What can you actually do? What kind of terrifying abilities come with all this primal, chaotic power? Well, the whole package is called the Omega effect, and it basically gives them near total control over, well, everything. They can literally erase you from existence. They can trap your soul forever. They can reshape reality with a single thought. And yeah, they can even beat death. Let's start with their go-to offensive move, existential erasure. We're not talking about simple energy blasts here. These are self-guiding beams of pure, raw chaos. And they don't just kill you. They erase you. They wipe you from the very fabric of reality, right down to the conceptual level. It's like you never, ever existed in the first place. But honestly, as bad as that is, this next one might be even worse. It's called the life trap, or the Omega Sanction. And believe me, this is a fate so much worse than just dying. It takes your consciousness and traps it in an endless loop of fake lives, and each one gets progressively more awful than the last. It's the perfect psychological prison, and there is zero chance of escape. Ever. And on top of all that, you can't even kill these things. Not really. The power gives them this corrupted version of immortality. If you manage to destroy their physical body, their mind just reforms inside a protective cocoon. And when they come back out, they're often even stronger than they were before. It's this horrifying, endless cycle of conquering death.
So you take all of this together, the insane power, the twisted immortality, the grotesque way it all looks, and it forces you to ask a really big philosophical question about what this ascension even means.
On one hand, you could argue they're the ultimate Übermensch, right? The Superman that Nietzsche talked about, a being that has completely overcome every human limitation. But on the other hand, are they just monsters? Are they just cautionary tales about what happens when you trade your humanity for power? That's the real paradox here. You get the power to create and destroy realities, but you have to live this corrupted, grotesque, inhuman existence. Is it worth it?
Now, to really get the full picture, we have to zoom way out. Because this power, this ascension, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It's actually a key piece, a weapon, really, in a massive secret war for the cosmos. It turns out there's this kind of hidden evolutionary ladder for gods. It all started with a first world of these primal monster archetypes that eventually fell apart and became the second world, which is basically where all our myths and folklore come from. But now, a third world has risen up, and this one is a terrifying mix of magic and science, and its only goal is to tear down the current cosmic order and build something new in its place.
And this is where Primal Ascension comes back in. See, it's not just about one person getting super powerful. It's the engine driving this war for reality. The ultimate goal is to just completely bypass the existing order, the fourth world, where you find beings like the new gods from the comics, and then forge a brand new fifth world under the thumb of one single, all-powerful, ascended ruler.
Which, brings us right back to the central question of this whole thing. It's the question at the very heart of Primal Ascension. If gaining ultimate power turns you into an absolute monster, is it even worth having? It really makes you think about that razor-thin line between becoming a god and becoming a demon.